Good morning, Happy Joseph's Journey family. I hope that we are where we're supposed to be and are seeing what we're supposed to see. We would like to welcome you to Happy Joseph's Journey presents A Voice at the Table featuring Dr. Vanna Anderson. So today we just want to review our mission statement for Happy Joseph's Journey. We are a community of autism advocates that aim to offer inclusive opportunities to educate, empower, enrich, and celebrate individuals with autism, their families, and communities. Before we begin, I would just like to reintroduce our board of directors. I am your president, Latanya Winfrey. Our vice president is Allison Simpson. Our secretary is Ophelia Childress. Our treasurer is Labrina Winfrey. Our marketing director is James Morris. Our philanthropy ambassador is Spencer Rollins. And our special events coordinator is Andre Waller. These are all the people that make up the board of directors and help us get the word out and get our job done. I am grateful to them for the roles that they play in our organization to help it run smoothly and to keep the word out and get the information to our families. Now, for those of you that have been supporting us, we appreciate everything you have been doing. And we ask that those of you that are new to our organization or you're just hopping in to check out and see what we have going on, we would like for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you are here, we are live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also go back after this and watch some previous learning series that we have offered to our community. For our current events and current news, we ask that you visit our Facebook page at Happy Joseph's Journey. We have a group and a page. Please join both. Our Instagram is at Joseph's Journey. So if that's the platform that you're choosing to use, please go over there and follow us, add us, so you'll be able to get the information that we offer. And then we also have a website, www.josephshappy.com. That is our website. It will give you access to our YouTube series, to our mission, our board of directors. If you would like to make a donation, you will be able to support us on there that way. And also, if you are an individual with autism, or you have a family member or friend with autism, or maybe you just want to see what community events that we have coming up and would like to volunteer, we are looking for volunteers. Please go to our page and fill out the form so we can keep you current with that information. We are also partnered with the Nashville Predators, so they offer our families opportunities to attend the hockey games and events. So if that's something that you think you would like to try with your family member, just to see if they're able to handle that environment, if that's something you would like to introduce them to, please make sure you fill out the form and put that in the message so that when we are offered tickets to activities and events, we'll be able to pass that information along to you. And again, we are here to educate, empower, enrich, and celebrate. And before we begin, I have a special someone here that I'm going to ask him just to peek his head in so that you all will recognize our why and why we do this. So I'm going to give my special guest about 2 seconds to get ready. All right, come on. Me, put your head in so they can see you. You got to come down. And we just want to thank everyone for sending out his birthday wishes yesterday. Joseph turned 17. What do you want to tell the people?
Thank you for my money.
He said thank you for his money, just not the money, because y'all had my Cash App blowing up. But we also want to thank you for your gifts.
Thank you for my gift,
We also want to thank you for your messages
for my message,
and for thinking of him.
and thank you for him,
For me.
for me.
All right. Thank you, Joseph.
You.
All right. So we just want to say thank you all for yesterday. Those of you all that had my social media blowing up. I think he was almost up to 300 comments and 300 likes and loves on his birthday post. And we just appreciate you all for loving on Joseph like you love on me. So we thank you for everything. Now we're going to get into the meat of the business. We are about to get into our presenter for today. And I just want to welcome Dr. Vanna Anderson to our broadcast. She is not new to us. She is very familiar to us and our family and some of the families that are on here. She is the founder and owner of Southern Angels Comprehensive Support Group. She is an exceptional education consultant. She is very, very knowledgeable with the information that she is going to present to us. If you would like more information about Southern Angels Comprehensive Support Group, I do know she is on Facebook, so you can find more information about that. And maybe she will let us know how to reach out for her services once she finishes her presentation. So I am going to stop sharing my presentation so that Dr. Vanna, you are up. I can't wait to hear what you are going to discuss with us. We're going to be on here taking notes, doing what we do, and we'll shoot you questions if questions come through to us. So, Dr. Vanna Anderson, take it away.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on today. It is a blessing to be here, and I hope that you all get to learn something, or you discover something new that you haven't discovered recently. All right, so the topic of our presentation today is a voice at the table, understanding parents' rights for students with disabilities. Again, I am Dr. Vanna Anderson, and I am the founder of Southern Angels Exceptional Ed Consulting. So the purpose of this presentation is why this matters. Parents play a valid role in their children's education. However, the rights ensure children receive appropriate service. And based on the Tennessee Department of Educational Rights Handbook. So this session's goals will understand federal and state laws. You're going to learn about key rights and responsibilities, gain tools to confidently advocate for your child. I just want to pause here and state that you are your child's biggest advocate. I don't care who's out there. I don't care what organization is out there. Parents, you have to know and you have to understand, but most importantly, believe that you are your child's biggest advocate. You are your child's voice when they don't have one. So let's talk about some key federal and state laws. So I have just a few here. Trust and believe it is many more, but one of the laws that we're going to talk about is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, known as IDEA. You probably hear this in a few of your meetings. Then we have the Ensure Federal and Appropriate Public Education. So this actually falls under the IDEA Act. Also, the requirements for individualized education programs. So that is the IEP as well. So IDEA covered these two important bullet points here. So now when it comes down to the Section 504 and the Rehab Act, we have the prohibit of discrimination and provide accommodations to students with disabilities. So that's 504. Now we're going to go a little more into depth with that throughout this presentation. We also have the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as ADA, and this guarantees equal access in all areas of public life. Then we have the Tennessee state laws. We have more additions to that. And it's just more so as relates to the special consideration for the state-specific timeline and services. So again, we're going to go through all these bullet points more in depth. So your role at the table. So how many people just been at an IEP meeting or a 504 meeting or a meeting in general where it seems like, hey, you are the only person that was like on one side of the table? I know that I've been in hundreds of meetings and I'm that I can be a little troublemaker. I'm the one that's going to integrate us. Like I'm going to sit next to the parent when someone else is, when all the other educators are sitting on one side. But I think everyone's starting to get the deal when I'm sitting next to a parent or I'm sitting next to a family member. Now, when you come in and you see everyone on one side of the table, hey, they can feel a little intimidating. It's like, okay, what's going on? What did my child do wrong? But we don't want that to happen. We want you to make sure that you have a voice at the table. So when it comes down to parents, parents are equal partners. So whenever you are at a table regarding your child, make sure that you are participating in the decision making of what is going on. Do not just sit there and be quiet. No, you have a voice. Speak up, say something. Sharing valuable insight about your child's strengths and needs. Yes, they're going to tell you what they see in the classroom, but guess what? You are with your child Sunday through Saturday, and you know your child best. They don't know your child when they're at home in their sacred environment. Collaborate with the school, building positive relationships with their IEP team or their 504 team, letting them know like, hey, we are a team. I want to make sure that you guys are doing what we're doing at home, at school, and vice versa. We want to make sure that we're doing what you guys are doing at school, at home. So when our child go back to school or come home, they understand that we're not going against each other. We are playing here as a team. And that is something that is very important. Asking questions and offering solutions. And also, your advocacy matter. Ensure that your child needs are being met. If something don't seem right or something don't sound right, or if it's just even unclear, speak up, say something. Your voice matters. Understanding the IEP process. So I'm going to show you a visual on the next slide, but when it comes down to the step-by-step overview, so it starts with a referral for special education evaluation. So how does that happen? Okay, when you are with your child and you're going to your child's monthly checkups or yearly checkups, and you're trying to make sure that your child is on track as relates to that quote unquote what normal means. You want to make sure that you are looking at different signs. You're looking for different signs. So if you see some red flags, first, you always want to make sure that you talk to your healthcare provider. That's going to be your first step. And then if your healthcare provider say, hey, you know what, I think that we need to talk to your child's teachers about seeing if we can get them evaluated to see if they're seeing any additional trends that you are seeing at home, then that's when you're going to take it to the school. So a referral for a special education evaluation, most of the time that's going to go through a school counselor or the support team. Then we have the evaluation to determine eligibility. Now, that is when a school psychologist come in. So during this time, you're going to talk to the school counselor. During that time, the school psychologist will come in, and you even may do just like a S team process, and that's a support team process. I want to make sure that that you guys are understanding some of these abbreviations that I'm throwing out here. Now, during this support team process, you are trying to see, like, okay, you're talking about what the child is doing in class and how your child can be a little more successful. During this support team process, you're looking for accommodations that they're putting in place for your child. And talking about accommodations, Parents, please know that accommodations are for all students. It's not just for a child that has a disability. Accommodations are for all students. Now, when we start talking about modifications are for those students that are on a different trajectory for a high school graduation diploma track. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're clear with that, but that's a whole nother presentation. All right, so then we have an eligibility meeting. So if you are at that meeting and everything is going okay, but now you're still seeing that, hey, my child is not making gains. I don't understand what's going on. You're going to come back to the table and we're going to do some testing. Okay. So that's the eligibility meeting. Now, that test takes up to 60 days. That's a long time, especially when your child don't even know the person that's evaluating them, because most of the time it's a school psychologist, or it could be a speech pathologist, or it could be an occupational therapist, and it's not going to be like one of the child's teachers that's there. So it is very important when you are talking to your child about these tests that he or she is getting ready to go with. I know we stress the fact that stranger danger, don't talk to anyone. It's great to prep your child for this opportunity to see where he or she truly is in the educational realm. So this is more so, does your child qualify for these services? Then, if your child qualifies for the services, we have something called an IEP, an individualized education plan, is developed. Now, during that time, we have those goals, we have accommodations, and we have services. Again, we are talking about accommodations are for all students. Keep in mind, if they say anything about modifications are changing the trajectory of a high school diploma. That is not a bad thing. However, you have to make sure that if this is something that you want, that means that regular high school diploma is out the window. We have different diploma tracks for students with disabilities. However, that's another presentation. You have to make sure that you understand. But those other diploma tracks, they are located on the Tennessee Department of Education website, and it's just alternate diploma tracks. So if you put that in your search bar, Tennessee Department of Education, alternate diploma tracks, you'll see that. But that's for their modification. So we have services as well. So those services will look like basic reading comprehension, math calculation, math problem solving, etc. That's only if the child qualifies for those services under that eligibility. Now, the annual review, when your child has the IEP is in place for one full calendar year. And throughout that time, it's not just a quick fix. Your child has to be progress monitored. Now, progress monitored is going to take place maybe at minimum 2 times a week, but at most once a week. And they're going to try to see if your child is making gains based on the IEP services that he or she is receiving. And it is okay to ask for their progress monitoring. I'm telling you, you are the parent. Ask for it. Then every 3 years, we have something called a reevaluation. A reevaluation is trying to see if your child still, in fact, is required for his or her IEP, or they're still qualifying for that stated disability from letter C. Okay, so every 3 years we have a reevaluation that actually takes place to see if your child still is eligible for services under his or her IEP. Now, your rights in this progress, if you do not agree with the IEP, then you have a right, not even an IEP. If you don't agree with the eligibility, let's start there. The eligibility, you have a right to an independent evaluation. This is in the parent procedural safeguard booklet. Yes, even though your child has went through this extensive test, if you as the parent, you do not agree, it's like, wait a minute, I don't agree with this. I don't think that my child has a reading deficit. I don't agree that my child is developmental delay. You have an opportunity to request an independent evaluation. And that's also in your rights booklet. And as it relates to the IEP, you have a right to agree and disagree to the IEP. You do. So even after they go over that draft, because that's what it is, until it is finalized, you go over that draft at the end of that IEP. The team is gonna ask you, Mom, Dad, family, do you all agree to this IEP, which is written here today? And if you don't, speak up, say something, say, I don't agree. Or if everything is great, say, hey, yeah, I agree. I'm going to proceed on to this visual because I know that was a lot of information, right? That was a lot of information that I just gave you. So I'm just going to go through this visual. We
Dr.
have
Bennett,
yes, ma'am.
we do have 2 questions before you go through the visual. And
Absolutely.
if they will be answered in the visual, just let us know. The first question you talked about IEP, individualized education plan. Who should make up the IEP team?
That is a great question. So the IEP team consists of you, the parent, for sure. A LEA, that's going to be like a principal or a principal designee, that is going to be the admin of that IEP meeting. Then we have the teacher. That's going to be the homeroom teacher. By law, you only need one teacher in an IEP meeting. However, you are the parent. You can request all the teachers to be in that IEP meeting if you like. Most of the time, when it comes down to most of our students, they are bringing in just the person that the student actually qualifies for the services. So, say for instance, in middle school to high school, if the child has a reading deficit, then they only bring in the reading teacher if it's not the child's reading, if it's not the child's homeroom teacher. So you have the parent, the administrator, at least one teacher, and if the child is over the age of 13 or at the parent's discretion, you can bring in the child as well. And also the special education teacher. So you have the parent, the administrator, the general education teacher, the special education teacher, and if the child is over the age of 13 or if the parent, at the parent's discretion, they can also bring in the child as well. That was a great question.
Now, will the special ed teacher be in the meeting if they are just beginning the process?
Now, what you mean about beginning the process? Does the child already have an IEP meeting? I mean, does the child already have an IEP?
No, they're
Okay,
going through getting consent to test.
Okay, so in most cases, no, the special education teacher will not be there. The special education teacher will know that this child is coming down the pipeline and he or she may qualify for some services, but he or she by law is not required to be in that meeting until this child has been fully eligible for this. Now, in some schools, it is, in one of the schools in the state of Tennessee, one of the school districts, they have the special education teachers to set up everything. And even though the special education teacher is there to set up everything, like contacting the parent and making sure that all the documents are sent out, the special education teacher is not completing any kind of assessments. However, that's where remember I talked about that S-team process. That's when the school counselor is coming in and they're trying to see if this child is going to be eligible for services. So until then, you got that you got the special education, you have the school counselor that's there that is walking through those steps until the psychologists say, hey, this child is going to qualify for services. We need to go ahead and pull in the special education teacher. So after those 60 days, if the school psychologist reach out to the parent and say, hey, mom and dad, it looks like that your child is going to qualify for services. And this could be more so as predetermination, but if they're just giving the parents a heads up and saying, hey, we're gonna ask the school, the special education teacher to come in. So if he or she would like to go ahead, if we would like to go ahead and get an IEP started that day, then that's when the IEP, the special education teacher will come in. So at beginning, the special education teacher will not be at that meeting unless after those 60 days, the school psychologist is looking at those results and they're seeing that, hey, this kiddo, they may qualify for services. So I want to go ahead and bring in the special education teacher just in case we as a team decide to go ahead and write an IEP meeting to write an IEP to alleviate additional IEP meetings. Does that make sense?
Yes. And one
Okay.
more question. I think this may come with your visual next. There is a parent that has a child entering kindergarten. The child did not attend pre-K, and the parent wants to know how do they get help during that enrollment process?
Okay, so let me make sure that I heard you correctly. The child did not go to pre-K.
No.
However, the child is getting ready to go to kindergarten.
Yes.
Does the parent think that the child has an IEP? I'm sorry, has a disability?
I believe so. And she wants to know how to start getting the child help at the beginning of the year.
Okay, so most of the schools, they have a pre-K department. So even though your child hasn't went to school for pre-K, they have let's say that you started for pre-K. They have a pre-K department where you can go ahead and get your child tested and see if your child indeed warrant for services. Now, during this time of testing, of course, still those 60 days, your child could indeed go to school early and start receiving those special education services. That's like pre-K, pre-K 3, pre-K 4 kiddos. They could go to school early and start receiving those services. However, because we did not do that, we can still go to the special education department if you are a public school parent, and you can speak with them about that you think that your child has a disability, and they too can still set you up where your child can get testing prior to going into the school to get an IEP. However, they also may say, well, did you speak to your child's healthcare provider? And if you say, hey, no, I haven't spoken to my child healthcare provider just yet, they'll probably ask you to speak to your child's healthcare provider first. So if I was this parent, I will first start with my child's healthcare provider and tell my healthcare provider about the various signs that I'm seeing within my child. Okay. Then if the healthcare provider say, hey, I see these signs as well, then you're going to go to your district special education department and you're going to tell them what your doctor actually stated, or even take a statement from your doctor there and give it to them, and then they will walk you through the process of everything that I just went over, A through F. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Or shameless plug, you can reach out to us and we will we'll help walk you through this process as well. But my information will be at the end of this presentation. All right. So, as relates to the visual I was speaking about. So we have the pre-referral. So during the pre-referral phase, parents work together with the teachers, the staff to try to resolve the problem informally within the classroom. So the teacher can put in various accommodations in the classroom, but it is key. If you are seeing that your child is not being successful, reach out to the school counselor. Reach out to the person that's over the support team, or as we call it in education, the S team, and let them know that, hey, I don't think my child is being successful. I want to talk to someone to see how that we can come together so my kiddo can be successful. Then we have the referral process. With the referral process, a letter will be sent home. You have 15 days here. When it comes down to Informal consent, that's when the 15-day letter goes out. Then we get the signature for that, saying that, hey, we can test your child. We're going to go into more details about that as well. Parents, your child would not be tested or should not be tested unless you sign a document stating that, hey, I want my child tested. We're going to go through the rest of this, but I want to make sure that I put a pin in it right there. Please do not let your child get tested unless you sign off and say, hey, yes, I want my child tested. No one in education should touch your child unless you have signed off on it. During that time, you have the school psychologists have 60 days, or the occupational therapist, the physical therapist, any other service provider has 60 days to test your child. Remember what I stated, we teach our children stranger danger, but when these individuals come in and they test your child, please let your children know, hey, someone is going to come in and talk to you. They're going to test you. I want you to do your very best on this test so we can get you the help that you need, okay? After those 60 days, we have at least 30 days to have after those 60 days, let me even talk about the 30 days. After the 60 days, the school psychologist will come to the parent, come back to the team and say, hey, this child qualifies for services. Let's go ahead and do a review of testing. So we're going to go over the testing, go over the scores. And then after that, if your child qualifies, we have an IEP meeting. Okay. The IEP meeting notice, you get a 10-day notice. If that 10-day notice is less than 10 days, you have to sign a waiver saying that I am waiving my 10 days. Okay. If you say, hey, this date or time does not work for me, as long as we get a signature from the parent, we are going to set up a meeting. Okay, then we have the implementation of the IEP meeting. Parents, I know that we are all working parents. Most of us are. Make sure that you are at every meeting, no matter if it's virtual, over the phone, or in person. You are your child's biggest advocate. Do not, and I repeat, do not just tell them, hey, it's okay, go meet without me. No, it's not okay. Be at those meetings. Make sure that your voice is heard and make sure that you speak up for your babies. And then if everything is good to go, your child will be successful at school. All right. So let's go ahead and go through the parental rights under IDEA in the state of Tennessee. Ms. Winfrey, if you don't mind, let me know like how I'm doing on time. As my time is dwindling down, I'm super passionate about this. So if I need to put a pin, okay, if I need to put a pin in it, just let me know.
You're good.
Okay, perfect. So understanding our rights under IDEA in Tennessee. All right, so we have the key rights from the Tennessee Parents Handbook. Those little handbooks that you guys get every year if your child has an IEP. People always say, no, I know it. It's okay. Don't go over it. Y'all better go over them IEP booklets at least one time a year. Now, if it's an addendum, you don't have to do that. And an addendum meeting is basically saying, hey, stop in the IEP where it is. But you are to go, well, not you, the service providers are to go over their parent rights book at least one time a year. So you guys, please stop saying, oh, I can waive my rights. You don't have to go over the book. Yeah, go over the book. I forgot my rights. Tell me, what are my rights? So some of your rights are a right to be informed, prior written notices for any changes. So you have a right to be informed. You have a right to consent. Approval requires requirements for evaluation and services. You have to have right to consent to this. A right to review your child's records. your child's records are at their school. You have a right to review them at any time. However, the only thing that they ask that you let them know that you are coming to review the records so they can have a place set aside for you so you can see them. Your child's, repeat this again, your child's records are at their school, okay? You have a right to dispute. Remember, if you don't agree, you have an option for mediation. You have an option to file a complaint, and you also have an option for the due process hearing. We'll go through that as well. Now, you have a right to an independent evaluation. Remember how I stated, if you do not agree with that test, you have a right for an independent evaluation, and that is no cost to you. I repeat, you have a right to an independent evaluation if you do not agree. That is no cost to you. This here, I have the procedural safeguard rights booklet. So this is just some more detailed information. It's the written procedures of the safeguards are provided, the parent participating in the IEP decision making of it. We have parental consent, a prior written notice. And a prior written notice is basically stating that we are letting you know about this meeting. Assessments, we're letting you know what assessments that will be taking place with your child. We have to get that sign off on. Again, we have the independent evaluation, access to the educational records. A surrogate parent is appointed. Oh, Dr. Vanna, what does that mean? If they cannot get in contact with you and your child has a disability and the district has tried and tried and tried to get in contact with you and you are not showing up at meetings, but your child is coming to school, but you are not showing up at meetings and you have no kind of corresponding with the school at all, the school will appoint a surrogate parent, or you have a right to inspect, you have a right to have one assigned as your child representatives, all right? So if a parent cannot be identified or the local district must ensure that a surrogate parent is assigned. So let me make sure I clarify that. If the district cannot locate the parent, and they have been trying to reach this parent and the parents are not showing up, they will appoint a surrogate parent on your behalf. All right. So also resolving disputes. There's more so the mediation, school discipline. Let's talk about that. Manifestation of determination. So say that your child has an IEP and your child also have behavior issues. Your child has been suspended 10 times, right? There should be a manifestation of determination. No school can suspend a child up to 10 times that has a disability without a manifestation of determination. What does that mean? A manifestation of determination, we're trying to see, is the reason why this student is having these behavior is because of his or her IEP or because of their disability. Is this child behavior manifesting because he or she has ADHD, or because this child has autism, or because this child has a reading deficit and they're showing out because they don't want to read in class and now they're showing out? They have to come to the table and determine if that is the reason why your child is showing out. Then we have private schools. So school districts offer free appropriate public educations to all students with disabilities. However, when your child is placed in a private school, I wanted to read this because this is important. Parents, if you decide that you want to pull your child from public education and place them in a private school, their rights to receive special education changes. The district is no longer required to provide special education services to a private school if the district made free appropriate public education available in their public schools. So I know it's a lot of things that's going on in the state legislation, However, keep in mind when you transition your child to from a public school to a private school, that public school that he or she was in will not continue those services. However, that's not to state that a private school will not work with you so you can have someone to come in and provide various services for your child. Okay?
We have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you say the school has my child's records, what is in those records?
Everything. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
When you enroll your child in the district that he or she is in, they started a record day one. And those records consist of your address, license, child social security card, social security number, progress monitoring data, benchmark data, letters sent home to parents, report cards, TCAP testing, IEPs, support team meetings, vision tests, you name it. Everything is in there. It's a record being kept on your child. So some school districts are getting away with the paper and they're putting everything in electric files, which is much better in my perspective. But it's at the school and it's in a file. It's in a secure lock file cabinet. But you have a right to see your child's records. But like I stated, just let the school know, like, hey, I'm coming up here. I would love to see my child's records. Is it a way that you guys can set aside a space for me so I can review my child's record? The only thing that the district asks is that parents do not take anything out of the records. However, you may have a copy of everything that's in your child's records.
And also, I'd just like to add, from my work point as a counselor, to be mindful that this record follows them wherever they go. So even if you decide to transfer out of the district or to transfer out of state, we are still, that new school will request that we send the records to them. And if they return, then the records come back. So just be mindful that, like Dr. Vanna said, from day one of entering the system, everything goes in that file and it follows them wherever they go until they graduate or until their educational journey ends. It will follow them wherever they go. And Dr. Vanna, we're going to give about 10 more minutes and then
Okay.
close out. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect. All right, perfect. All right. So, a 504 and accommodation. So, what is a 504? A 504 ensures equal access for students with disabilities, and it provides accommodations like extra time on tasks and assistive technology. Your rights with the 504 plan involves involvement in the development process, requests meetings to review and revise the plan, and appeals the decision through grievance process. So here is a visual as relates to an IEP and a 504, how these two laws are different. As relates to the dispute and the resolution, we actually have various steps. So when it comes down to addressing a parent's concerns, nobody want to go to court. They really don't. So they're gonna do some things prior to that even happening. They want to make sure that you are communicating directly with your child's teachers or the administrator. If you have any kind of concerns whatsoever, you're gonna request an IEP meeting or a 504 meeting. Or you can even file a formal complaint with the Tennessee Department of Education. Use mediation services offered by the state, and then file a due process hearing. So it is steps to your dispute, but these are just some ways that they want you to follow prior to just going through that due process hearing, because there's some steps before you can go through due process. Okay.
As a parent, do I have a choice of IEP or 504, or does
Absolutely.
the testing tell me that?
Okay, absolutely. So Yes, great question. So the testing will actually tell you this. So say for instance, if your child has let's see, has ADHD. But your child is doing great in all of his or her classes. The only thing that they need some additional support on is additional time because it takes them so much time to complete their work. Then that child may warrant a 504. However, if a child has the child is not able to read basic CVC words, consonant, vowel, consonant words, or they are not able to do basic math calculation like adding and subtraction, then that child may warrant an IEP. However, based on the testing, the school psychologist and that team will tell you your options as relates to how your child can be better supported. But either way, the child receives accommodations. But if you want to go that modification route, remember changing the trajectory of the diploma track, that's more so on your IEP. Or looking at different IEP diploma, looking at different diploma tracks, that's for the IEP. When it comes down to advocacy tips, stay organized, parents. Be proactive. Know when to ask for help. Communicate effectively. Make sure that you are letting them know when you do not understand something, when your child is not being successful. Make sure that you are voicing your concerns and making sure that they are clearly stated in those meetings, and make sure that they are documenting them as well.
And Dr. Vanna,
yes,
can you
ma'am.
speak to if your child has an IEP about receiving the draft before the meeting?
Okay, yes. So it is, I want to say this happened a couple of years ago. The Tennessee Department of Education stated, not even Tennessee Department of Education, the Department of Education said, hey, parents are complaining that they are not getting these IEPs, these draft IEPs in ample enough time so they can review or have an advocate or an educational consultant to come to the IEP meeting and review the IEP prior to the meeting. So they put in law. You have to give a parent 48 hours to review the IEP before the IEP meeting. Parents, if you do not receive their IEP in 48 hours, if I was working for a district, I'd be in trouble for saying this, but I don't work for a district no more. You can say, I'm not coming to this meeting because I didn't get 48 hours. And they'd be upset because it's like, well, the IEP is getting ready to expire. I'm sorry. By law, I have rights, and my rights is to have my IEP 48 hours in advance, so I have an opportunity to receive outside counsel if need be. So if you do not receive that IEP 48 hours in advance, parents, if it was me, I wouldn't attend the meeting. But we have some parents that are saying, oh, it's okay. I understand things happen. Yeah, I understand things happen, but I took off for this and I didn't receive it. And I sent an email asking for the IEP and I just got it this morning. That's not okay. So please make sure that you are receiving those IEPs 48 hours in advance. And if you are not receiving them, don't go to the meeting, or tell them, thank you so much. At this current moment, I don't have enough time to review the IEP. Can we reschedule this meeting for a later date? Or if you say, hey, it's okay, I'll attend, you can attend, but then you make your changes right there on the screen or right there in real time, because you can also do that as well. Okay.
One more question. If there is not a principal or a principal designee present, will the meeting still be held as an IEP?
No. Come on with these great questions. No, the IEP meeting cannot be held if you do not have an LEA if you do not have a principal, assistant principal, or a principal designee. And it cannot be held if you don't have a general education teacher. It cannot be held if you don't have a special education teacher. And it should not be held if a parent is not there. But if they have received a signature from a parent and saying, hey, go ahead and meet without me, that's the only time that IEP meeting should happen. So if those key players are not there, again, a principal, assistant principal, designee principal, if they're not there, no IEP meeting. If a general education teacher is not there, no IEP meeting. If a special education teacher is not there, no IEP meeting. Parents, if you did not sign and say, I will not be there or have the meeting without me, no IEP should be taking place. Great question. Next, we have the parents' resources in Tennessee. So we have a few key resources here. We have the Tennessee Department of Education Special Education Parent Rights Handbook. I have a link, a hyperlink here on the screen. It's here with the website. We also have parent training and information centers, supports and trainings for families. We also have contact Tennessee Department of Education for assistance. And also, this is something that my company is extremely passionate about. Please reach out to Southern Angels Exceptional Ed Consultant at information@southernangelscomprehensive.com. We will be happy to support you. And look at those notice of procedure safeguards booklets. They have not changed since May of 2016. However, it is some great resources there. And in the back, it is free and low cost advocacy services for you available as well. Discussing the challenges and the solution, just common challenges here. The lack of communication between schools and parents, misunderstanding of special education process. We have feeling overwhelming doing meetings, and some solutions: building a rapport with the teachers and administration, educating yourself on IDEA and 504 plan rights, and seeking support from advocacy groups. Just a quick recap. Let me just state this. You are your child's biggest advocate. You are your child's voice at this table. Remember, know your rights. Collaborate with the schools. If the school is not collaborating with you, or they're not reaching out to you or communicating with you, get some support. Get you a voice at the table if you don't have one. It's okay. You have a voice, but get someone that can help you express your concerns. I am Dr. Vanna Anderson, the founder of Southern Angels Exceptional Ed Consultant. If you guys have any additional questions, comments, or you would like any additional resources, please reach out to us at info@southernangelscomprehensive.com. Our office number is 615-600-5107. I always like to leave with a picture of me and my family. I know Joseph's journey is their why, but my family is my why. Thank you so much for your time and your consideration. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And I am free to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Dr. Vanna, please make sure you keep your contact information there for us. I did receive one question. They wanted to clarify. The special education teacher will not be present unless the IEP has already been determined and created, right?
Yes, and that's what I stated previously. So in some districts, So say for instance, in Union County, and I'll just say the district, their special education teachers, they start from beginning to end. And they, even though they are not filling out any kind of documentation or anything like that, they are the ones that are reaching out to the parents and making sure that all documents and things are being completed. However, they are not filling out anything. They are not testing the student. They have no kind of interaction with the kiddo whatsoever. They are just the people that are setting up the meetings. And this is not all schools in Union County. This is just some schools in Union County. Now, as it relates to MNPS or Shelby County or Mississippi schools, DeSoto County schools, their special education teachers are not involved in the process at all unless the 60 days is the testing has been completed for those 60 days. And then they reach out to the parents, say, hey, we have completed our testing. Do you mind if we bring an additional person in, and they'll send out an invitation and say, hey, we're gonna go ahead and bring in a special education teacher. We're gonna bring in all these players. And during that time, if you want to go ahead and compile an IEP during that time, you can, or the team can set up a different time and date for an IEP meeting. But still during that time, the special education teacher is still not involved. You're just setting up those meetings. So they set up those meetings just to alleviate having 2 meetings that the parents have to take off work for, come in and have those meetings. So sometimes after those, the 60-day meetings, once they're going over the evaluation results, they'll bring in the special education teacher and say, hey, let's complete an IEP as a team. So an IEP is always a team. It's not just a one person that's doing the IEP. It's always a team. So parents always complete any of the documents that are being sent home to you, because they're trying to get your child's the best support services that he or she needs. So I hope I clarified that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Another question. Do charter schools follow the same process?
Oh, that's sticky. Charter schools are a little different. They are a little different. Charter schools, they do supposed to follow this process. However, it depends on if it is a district charter school or if it is a independent charter school. Okay. Charter schools are now popping up everywhere. So you have to make sure if it is a district charter school that is receiving funds from the district, yes, they have to follow those laws as well. However, if it's an independent charter school, that independent charter school is looked at like a private school. They can do whatever they like to do. So it's important for you to go to those meetings and ask questions and say, hey, what is my child came to you guys with an IEP? How can we support my kid? So you just have to know if your child is at an independent charter school or if they're at a district charter school.
And I also want to reiterate, in the back of that parent's rights handbook, I know it's thick and it's a lot, but in the back, there is a page for free and low cost advocacy services. So if you are a parent and you're going into these meetings and you feel like maybe you're not understanding everything that is presented, or maybe you just feel like you need a second set of ears to listen to the information, then reach out to those services that are offered in the back of the book and have someone attend those meetings with you. I work in the district. I have a great advocate that I take with me to my meetings because sometimes something may be said and I shut down. I need someone else to be able to hear the information so that I can process it later. And if it's something that as a parent you do not understand, please stop and make us as the educators explain to you so that you'll have a clear understanding of what is going on. Do not just accept what is being presented to you. Make sure you understand, because this is going to affect your child's education. And make sure you are speaking loudly for what you know your child needs.
Right.
Are there any other questions? I'm checking in with my board. Are there any other questions that need to be asked? If not, first I want to thank you, Dr. Vanna, for everything. You always jump in. She never says no, and she has her plate full with activities outside, even outside of Southern Angels. She has a plate full. So we just appreciate you for hopping on, for presenting us with the information. I also want to say this meeting was supposed to be in person, and we were supposed to have a meet and greet for the second half for our families to come out and meet other families, because that's what I keep hearing. I just want to meet other families and get to know other people and have my child meet other children where they can interact with each other. We will have that meet and greet. We will just have to reschedule that for a later time, because we do need that interaction, and we need to build our village. We need other people to lean on, and we need those people to be able to lean on us. So we will offer that meet and greet at another time. Thank you, Dr. Vanna Anderson, for your services. Thank you to all my board members who are online right now, making sure we get the questions answered and our technology and everything is working correctly. We appreciate our viewers for joining, whether you join live or whether you go back and watch it later. If you have additional questions, please join us on Facebook at Happy Joseph's Journey. Our Instagram is at Joseph's Journey. You're welcome to inbox me on Facebook. I'm trying to shift over off of my page and put it at Happy Joseph's Journey page where it's supposed to be. So sometimes it ends up on mine. I don't mind. Just send it to me. We'll try and get it answered as soon as possible. Thank you all for joining in yesterday for our feature on 92Q. Thank you to the Kenny Smooth Morning Show with Kenny Smooth, Cissy Brown, Sean Good, and Crystal with an I. I remember that part. Thank you so much for joining us yesterday. Thank you for everything you all do for Joseph's Journey. Hold on, I have another question popping up. And she answered it. It was the question about what was contained in the students' records. Everything. From the day they enter school, everything is in the students' records. Health records, shot records, birth certificates, the parents' driver's license, address verification, progress monitoring, test scores, every single thing that is on paper, that can be on paper regarding that child, is in the CUNE file. All righty.
Well, I just want to take the moment to thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be here today. And you know, I love Joseph with all my heart. I've seen him grow so much, so I just truly appreciate the opportunity to be here. And if you guys want a part two, or if you guys have any questions or concerns for me, please feel free to reach out to us. And we will be happy to be that extra set of eyes or that extra voice at the table, just to support you all as a whole. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And to Joseph's Journey listeners, thank you all for attending.